It's Dean Saunders and Natalie Sawyer with you until 9 a.m. And we started the show by talking about Manchester City's five-star performance at home against Norwich. So we'll focus a little bit more on them because it was some turnaround after that defeat at Spurs.
But what an outstanding performance from Manchester City. Man City 5, Norwich City 0.
The result was a consequence in a brilliant movement, and everyone was in his position. We did a really good game. We pressed so high, so intense. We regained the ball high of the pitch, and after with the ball, everyone was there, calm. We played really good.
We're not too down. We are experienced. We know that that this can happen on this level, and we're not too down. It's more like just stick together, to keep going, and then to make sure that we're ready when the really important games for us will come.
Yeah, it was some way to bounce back then from that defeat at Tottenham last weekend. And joining us from Australia is commentator, broadcaster and lifelong Manchester City fan, Simon Hill. Simon, hello.
Morning, Simon.
Morning, Dean. Morning, Natalie. How are you?
Very good.
I was going to say, it's morning for us. What is it over with you? Afternoon? Evening? What is it?
Yeah, it's 3:30 in the afternoon in Sydney, but we're all in lockdown, you see, because of COVID, so we can't go anywhere.
No.
What's the weather like?
It's beautiful. I've just been out on my hours daily exercise, about 26 degrees, sun shining, but an hour is all we get, unfortunately.
Oh,
Lovely. It's raining here.
Let's
I remember it well being from Manchester.
Well, let's not dwell on the weather. It's inevitable that we always talk, what's the weather like? What's it like over there? But look, let's talk about Manchester City then, because that opening game at Tottenham was, I'm sure you would think, Simon, a little bit of a disappointment, losing that one. So for them to bounce back as they did yesterday, to put 5 past Norwich, that's the Manchester City you want to be seeing, isn't it, on a regular basis?
Yeah, and look, to be fair, that is the City that we normally see. I have to say, I thought Norwich played into City's hands a little bit, starting with the 3 in midfield, trying to play out from the back, even when, at certain junctures it wasn't really on. But you can only beat what is in front of you, and City did that very comfortably yesterday. Great to see Jack Grealish getting a debut goal, even though he didn't know too much about it, let's be perfectly honest. And overall, I thought it was a tremendous performance. And Gabriel Jesus, for me, was the outstanding player. Interested to see there's a lot of people today sort of going, he can play out wide. I think he's played there quite a few times before. So it's no real surprise to City fans. But look, it was nice to get that sort of performance on the board as a City fan, because last week was well below our best.
It's interesting, though, with Jesus, because as ever, whenever you get the Manchester City lineup, you are guessing, aren't you? Who's playing where? People expected him to start down the middle, but it turned out it was Ferran Torres that did. And so you're always guessing what Pep Guardiola is doing. And obviously, after that Tottenham defeat, there was the inevitable talk about, well, this just shows that City need to get a striker. They need that out-and-out striker that they clearly have been looking for a little while. But does yesterday's result prove otherwise, or do you still think they do need somebody to replace Sergio Aguero?
Look, to be fair, I think it's an indication of the modern game, and Dean will probably back me up on this, that one defeat becomes a crisis, which is ludicrous, really. But that's the way football is, and obviously we're all obsessed with it. I still personally think that they could do with Harry Kane or somebody like him, and I do see intriguingly that Robert Lewandowski has indicated he might be willing to leave Bayern Munich. So you never know. But I think that sort of striker would offer City something a little bit different. They won the championship comfortably without a real number 9, because Aguero, of course, was injured for large chunks of last season. So they have plenty of options. And the rotations that they play in that front 3 are fantastic to watch. The 4th goal in particular yesterday was beautiful. But I do still think Harry Kane would offer them that's something a little bit different, a target man, somebody to hold up and link the likes of Sterling and Mahrez and Foden and De Bruyne. Goodness me, it's an embarrassment of riches, isn't it, to bring all those players into play. So, yes, I do think they could do with him.
Yeah, I think as well, when you play the type of football they play and they get him in behind your fullbacks non-stop, Mahrez, Sterling, Grealish, they get him. When they're squaring that ball across the face, you've got to have someone in there who knows where to go in on the keeper, pull out, go to the back post, which Kane does, and Aguero obviously did do it. How do you think Grealish settled in? How do you think he fitted into the system and the way the other players were playing?
Look, I thought it's still a work in progress. I thought he showed some nice touches. Obviously, he played sort of, excuse me, wide on the left yesterday, and he sort of hugged that touchline and gave City some useful width, I thought, down the left-hand side. I think it's obviously going to take a while. You can't expect a player even of Grealish's quality to fit in like a glove straight away. But just picking up on that point, Dean, that you made about the crosses, I mean, there was a lot made yesterday, and I agree with the commentators in the game that I watched, saying that the amount of crosses City put in was sort of unlike them. They're much more methodical normally in their build-up, and maybe that's because they think that Harry Kane might be coming, and they're going to sort of slightly change the way they play, because certainly, Harry Kane would have loved some of that service yesterday. It's going to be intriguing to see how they adapt to him if indeed he ends up at the Etihad.
Yeah, I think the Lewandowski one, I think that's a ploy. I mean, I remember I was at Newcastle years back, and we were trying to sign a centre-back, and we were haggling with the team. And we just released it on Sky News that we were going to sign another one.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Right, okay.
And I think that's what Man City have done.
To push the original one through, is that what you're trying to do?
So they're haggling over millions of pounds right now.
Yeah.
This has been going on, and it's not like you used to haggle over $1 million. This is it'll be going up in tens and 5 millions. How much are you going to pay for him? We're not paying that. Well, you're going to have to pay that, otherwise we're not letting him go. So then they released that one. Right, Lewandowski. How about that? So Tottenham are now thinking, well, we might lose this sale if we keep going. They might just go somewhere else. So I think it's part of the plan.
Although you say that, we had that, Simon, obviously with the Lionel Messi situation, and people thinking, well, hang on, he's just left Barcelona, he's worked with Pep Guardiola before. Is this now going to force Daniel Levy to go, hang on, no, you can have Kane, for cheaper than what I wanted originally? I mean, absolutely, Harry Kane, we know, would... he's talked about wanting to emulate Lionel Messi, wanting to emulate Cristiano Ronaldo, being a Ballon d'Or winner, or at least being in the nominations for the Ballon d'Or in the final stages of it, for example. But we still are waiting to see what's going to happen with Harry Kane. We've still got 9 days or so of this transfer window. But we still are none the wiser about what's going to happen.
Well, I think they're going to come... Sorry, Simon, go on.
Sorry, go on. It's a game of ducks and drakes, isn't it? And you rightly say, Dean, that City are sort of manoeuvring for position and maybe throwing in a couple of curveballs to try and throw people off the scent. But equally, you've got to sort of respect Tottenham's position. He is their player. He is under contract. I know Harry Kane feels as though he's got a gentleman's agreement with Daniel Levy to depart. But Levy's also got to deal with the backlash from his supporters. If he comes out and says, yeah, okay, it's no problem, off you go, then he's going to cop it as well from his supporters. So it's a very delicate balance, isn't it? I think there's no doubt that City wants him and that Harry Kane wants to go to City. But that magical number has to be 100% right. The one question I was going to ask you, Dean, going back in your playing days, and I remember you got sold for, at the time, was quite a lot of money between various clubs. When you signed for a club and you had that sort of transfer fee around your neck, did you feel that, or does it not bother you at all?
No, when I signed for Liverpool, I thought, right, I've got to produce the goods here. And then first game of the season, we were playing Oldham, I think, and I picked the programme up, nervous, obviously first game at Anfield, and I was just looking through the programme, and it had the previous 10 years finishing positions, the club. Okay. And what do you think the lowest was? Second. So, I was gonna say, I actually thought we got a win today.
That put pressure on you. Just
I thought we got a win today, first game of the season. I was thinking, you can't lose at Liverpool, and if I didn't get the goals, I know they'll just replace me. They've got enough money. No, I didn't score. Do you know what? I didn't score for 3 games, and I missed a sitter at Luton, and it was weighing on me. I was like, oh, I just need a tap in, and then I shanked one against Tottenham at Anfield, and it flew in the corner. I didn't mean it. I sliced it, and it went in, and I just thought, that's me. I'm off and running.
But that's all you need.
But the pressure's
on. That's all you need.
Yeah.
By the way, Simon,
but that's what Jack Grealish got yesterday.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He didn't. But he's. I said to Natalie earlier, if you run into the 6-yard box between the sticks, the ball will hit you and go in. Frank Lampard made a career running into the box. You don't score goals running out of the box. So he's playing on the left, hugging the line, but he's got in the box when the ball was on the opposite side of the pitch. The other thing I was going to say to you, what do you do now if you're the Norwich manager after that performance?
And he's got Leicester and Arsenal, I think I'm correct in saying, the next 2 games. So he's got to lift his players off the floor, even though they've, the first 2 games, you'd have looked at those and said, Liverpool, Man City, okay, we're going to struggle here. But they've double bageled in terms of scoring goals, and they've copped 8 at the other end. So he's got a big job on this week. And the one thing that he can't afford to do, and I know this is easier said than done, but he's got Leicester and Arsenal. He can't afford to be 1-0, drawn 0, lost 4, scored none, conceded 15 after 4 games, because then they're really up against it. Even though the 4 teams that they've opened the season against, nobody would have expected them really to beat any of those sides. So I thought it was tough. I thought they were too timid last night, to be honest. I mentioned about them playing out from the back and the 3 in midfield, but I thought they were a bit timid. I thought they were better second half, but I thought they looked a little bit, overcome by City's power. And that's something he's got to try and fix, that little bit of confidence to say to them, look, you've earned the right to play in this league. You're good enough. So go out and prove it.
The problem, of course, for them yesterday is they didn't even trouble Edison in goal. There was no shot on target from Norwich in that entire game. Just lastly, on Manchester City then, for you, Simon. That game yesterday, everyone would have looked at and gone, well, that's a given home win. A little bit different in that story, in that situation against Tottenham. Again, people perhaps would have expected Manchester City to win it. Didn't go the way as planned. 4 of their next 5, I think I'm right in saying, is Arsenal, Leicester, Chelsea and Liverpool. Quite a testing period coming up for Pep Guardiola and his side.
Yeah, you're not wrong, which is probably why I'd like to get Harry Kane in. But look, I mean, let's be honest. You saw that City yesterday, they went to the bench and they brought on Raheem Sterling and Riyad Mahrez, both of whom scored. So it's not exactly as though they're struggling for depth. They are the reigning champions. Yes, they're tough games. But City will have no fear going into those matches, and nor should they, because they're a very good side. But what they can't afford is to let those standards slip, which is what they did against Tottenham first weekend of the season. De Bruyne might be back fit. Foden, I think, is still a few weeks away, but I think they'll be okay, don't you? I think they'll challenge.
Well, I think Grealish's signing, not only as a player, he's brilliant, but also the signing G's the other lot up. They're all looking over the shoulder thinking, I'm not getting complacent, because that's all they worry about at that level. Players getting complacent or getting too old. That's the 2 things they look for. You're out, them 2 things, complacency and the candle's gone out.
Especially when someone like Jack Grealish is a little bit more versatile, shall we say. He can play on the left, he can play more middle. So there's a few players that are thinking, I do have to up my game to make sure I'm in this starting 11. Simon Hill, it's been great to talk to you. Thank you for joining us today.
Get the cream on.
Pleasure. Thanks very much.